Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Sportsman's Warehouse and another edition of the Sportsman's Warehouse Report. We got AnglerChannel.com Pro Staffer Dearal Rodgers with us, who's going to be fishing the pro side of the FLW Tour in 2011, which starts in about 3 weeks. But before we let him hit the road and kind of disappear on that professional circuit, we're going to grab him here at Sportsman's and talk about some baits that are going to help you out, because as many of you know, shallow has been the name of the game for catching some fish lately, a little bit earlier than usual for some of us. But hey, reality is everybody you talk to is catching fish shallow as a part of their repertoire, so to speak, in their tackle box, and that doesn't surprise you, Daryl. And after walking around here today, you got some great baits you're going to showcase to us.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about Lake Murray. You know, we got it's a BFL coming up there
On the 19th.
On the 19th, and also a cat trail tournament coming up there. And and I have a lot of experience up there. So I want to talk about what I do trying to catch fish early that are shallow. And there's a couple things to keep in mind. One is normally the fish that are moving shallow are staging for the spawn. They're not always following bait up there. So keep that in mind. A lot of times the fish that are shallow are not looking at bait. You know, they're not really looking at crawfish. They're just up there. So what that does to them, it makes them real spooky, because they're up there. I always try to think about what the fish is looking at. He's looking at a bare bank, and there's nothing up there. Everybody knows that crankbaits are really good for catching fish at that time of year, early spring, cold water conditions. And here's what I want to show you. There's a couple of tactics that I use when I'm crankbait fishing. The first I'm going to do is I'm going to use a small bait. And like I said, there's nothing up there that these fish are looking at. So if you throw a big number 9 shad wrap up there and start reeling it through, it's just too gaudy. It does not look natural. I want to throw something really small. The two crankbaits I have in my hand, one is a shad wrap RS, a number 4, very small. It's about the size of a regular number 5 shad wrap. The thing is, it's plastic, so it's a little bit heavier, easier to throw. The one in the middle, this is a speed trap made by Lord Jensen, excellent cold water bait. Lots of fish caught on that. Both of those small crankbaits. And you may have to throw these on a spinning rod. That's okay. You may have to throw them on a 6-pound line. That's okay. The main thing you want to do is you want to use a finesse approach. You want to get the bait up there. You want it to go in the water quietly, because the fish are real spooky. And then you just want to reel it real slow, because you think about that fish's environment and what they're looking at. Any bait that they're seeing or anything is moving slow. So you want to do the same thing. A lot of times when I fish in this cold water, I'll dip my hand in the water to remind myself how cold that water is. And remember, the fish's body temperature is that same color. Another bait I do want to touch on, and this is the Strike King Red Eye Shad, excellent cold water bait. It's the bait that won the Classic last year in cold water. And the difference in this bait is this bait causes a reaction strike. And as the water starts to warm, you're going to see groups of fish start staging. And when you have that, they're in competition together, and they're not as spooky. So you can keep a bait like this tied on, and when you come by a boat ramp where a group of fish might be stacked up, or you come by a little small point or something, throw this in there and see if you can cause a reaction strike from a group of fish. I know for a fact a friend of mine won a tournament at Santee. He caught 30 pounds in like 8 casts on a rattle trap in the early spring. So, you know, keep that in mind. That's a real good thing, real good bait to throw.